Good evening, a very warm welcome also from my side. My name is Ko Yamamoto, and it's my pleasure today also to guide you through the all-new ZR-V. So, let's start with the grand concept. The slogan is called Unleash Your Potential. And the meaning which stands behind this slogan is that we want you to be proud as an owner, to show your personality, and also to actually experience a sense of security when controlling the car at will, just like the confidence feel you have when wearing your favorite outfit. If we look at the past, I think the first generation SUVs, they were really required and demanded to be operated in rough terrain. So the so-called off-road capability was very important as a requirement. The second generation then moved more onto the tarmac. So practicality, comfort features, these were the important aspects. And we believe further in the future, the so-called third generation SUVs, they will probably have a more impact on social aspects like ecological and economical aspects, maybe also to polish up again the already a little bit bad reputation of an SUV by combining dynamic performance also with a very good fuel efficiency. And we believe the ZR-V with its sophisticated technology will step directly into this path and also to provide those qualities in that direction. As you've heard, Honda is going to introduce quite a lot of SUVs this year. So on top of the existing HR-V, with the new ZR-V, we will have a new launch, but then followed by the all-electric E-NY1. And then further this year, we will have the latest iteration of the all-new CR-V, which then will be available as a full hybrid and for the first time in Europe also as a plug-in hybrid. All these cars will have their distinctive characteristics. This means also there will be targeting specific customer profile. And talking about the ZR-V actually is targeting the so-called mature post-family, and people who actually put emphasis on dynamic performance and also love a distinctive design. Let's talk about the packaging of the car, starting with some dimensions. The ZR-V is actually positioned between the HR-V and the CR-V. As you can see in this schematic graphic, we have also mentioned here a direct comparison in numbers against the main dimension of the HR-V. And you can see it is bigger, longer, higher, but also particularly wider, and also the wheelbase has increased against the HR-V. And this also underlines the intention of the ZR-V, the direction, which is clearly dynamic performance. Driving posture. This is a very important topic during development because what we want is to combine actually the positive attributes of an SUV with that of a sedan. So if you sit in the ZR-V, we want you to feel just like in a sedan. And if you look at the graphics, actually on the front seat as a driver, you sit nearly just like in a Civic, but you have a higher eye point. So this is already a win-win situation in terms of combining a sedan with an SUV. And actually in the rear seat, you have the identical seating posture like in a Civic. Visibility, also a very important and common topic at the moment within all Honda products. A very disturbance-free visibility to the front with minimized blind spots, but also clear reference lines from the door shoulder until the continuing bonnet lines, which form clear reference lines to sense the position of the vehicle, especially the position of the front wheels. Also rear visibility when reversing into a parking lot. Now the boot space is 380 liters in VDA measurement. We believe this is sufficient for a sports SUV. It's clearly bigger than the HRV, and it can accommodate easily 2 full-size golf bags, but also quite bulky items like 2 full-size mountain bikes. Now the design, as you have seen already in pictures, and also maybe you've seen already the static car in front of the lobby, the design language of the new ZR-V is slightly different to what we have seen recently from Honda. And this is also, again, something like a crossover between sedan and an SUV. And for tomorrow, we will have available 2 grades for you for test drive. One is the sports grade on the left side, and the other one is the advanced grade. They actually differentiate by a different grille design, honeycomb design for the sport, a vertical grille design for the advanced, and also some parts of the front bumper design is different. Loads of storing capability in the interior. What I find very practical is the big pocket in the center console where you can actually stow a complete tablet. But also the door pockets, they are formed very ergonomically. They have a certain angle so that with the own weight of the bottles, they are not easily moving and therefore also not creating rattling noise. Luggage variation using the seat itself, but also there is the possibility to use the boot floor as a partition in order to separate smaller items. And also you can use the parcel cover, or you can remove it if you don't need it, and you can actually stow it completely away underneath the boot floor. Now for some soft touch panels, we have utilized a new material, quite interesting, for the armrest, but also for parts of the dashboard and also parts of the center console. We have inserted micro glass pearls in the so-called TPO layer, in the thermoplastic polyolefin layer, and this is giving a quite interesting lighting effect. It gives a shimmering effect on one hand if light falls on it, but also depending on the angle from where you look, it also creates a certain shading and also a 3D effect. So please have a look at this tomorrow when you're driving the car. Now let's move over to the dynamics and the powertrain. So the core competence of the ZR-V. The development concept of dynamic performance was also clear. As I said before, we want to combine the stability and also the secure feel of an SUV with the agility and handling performance of a sedan. And in order to do so, we have applied the latest generation of eHEV hybrid powertrain, which consists of a 2-liter Atkinson cycle direct injection petrol engine. The direct injection system, compared now to the previous generation of eHEV, has brought quite some advantage, particularly in order to increase the so-called stoichiometric operation range. So the range where you can operate the engine with lambda 1, so where the engine is running very fuel efficiently. And this will have a big impact on drivability, you will see in a minute. Then we have the 2 electric motors, one used as a generator and the other one used to actually drive the car. The 2-motor automatic transmission. By the way, we have now changed the naming more or less. We are not calling it A2 an eCVT anymore, because the eCVT created lots of misunderstanding. But it is a automatic transmission of torque utilizing 2 electric motors, and that is, I think, hopefully clear once and forever. The eHEV system does not utilize any gearbox whatsoever, so this is very important to understand. The electric motor, 184 PS, defines the system output, because at the point where the overall eHEV hybrid system outputs the maximum power is, for example, at top speed, and at top speed the electric motor is driving the car. So this means the electric motor defines the system output, which is 184 PS, and the maximum torque is 315 Newton meter. And of course, it's an electric motor, so the 315 Newton meter are available right from the start. The third component, the intelligent power unit, the IPU, which incorporates the battery. This has also seen quite some step towards higher performance compared to the previous generation IPU. Honda has been basically one of the pioneers of hybrid technology, and therefore we have available loads of market data, how and under which condition batteries are being used, and we can analyze how these batteries behave in the market under real-life condition, how they age, how they deteriorate. And after analyzing all this, we could now actually minimize the margin we have been reserving from the so-called usable capacity of the battery. And that led us, as a result, to actually increase and maximize the usable capacity of the battery. And this resulted in a much higher amount of electric power, electric energy we can use now for assist boost power for the hybrid system. And this also has a big impact on drivability. First of all, I would like to briefly recap once again the 3 operation modes of the hybrid system. So on the left, the EV drive. I think that's clear. The battery is providing the sole drive energy to the electric motor and drives the car. So just like a battery electric vehicle. Then we have the hybrid drive. Now in this hybrid drive, the engine-driven generator is generating the electric power, and this power is being fed to the propulsion motor, so the drive electric motor, directly, not through the battery. And this is also the significant difference to a range extender. And the battery in this case has a very important role to play, because what we want is to operate the engine always in a very fuel efficient area. So sometimes the load is too small. So what we do with the battery, we actually increase the amount of charging the battery, and this results in a higher resistance for the engine. So we can push up the operation range, the load of the engine to a higher point, making it again more efficient. And if the load is too high, then we can give a little bit of assist power from the battery in order to reduce and relieve the engine. And in this way, we can always operate the engine as much as possible in the fuel-efficient area. And that's basically the secret why the eHEV hybrid system is consuming so little fuel. And the third operation point, or operation mode, this is the engine drive. So in some situation, it is really beneficial to use the engine as a direct drive source. In this case, the clutch is closed, so we do not have to convert the energy twice from engine to electric and then from electric to mechanical energy again, but we are utilizing the engine drive force directly as a propulsion force. And also in this situation, the battery can still give assist power, electric assist power, so the hybrid works as a parallel system in the engine drive, where it has been working as a series hybrid in the hybrid drive. Now, the control strategy of the eHEV hybrid system is also very important in order to maximize and optimize the drivability. And this in all driving situations, like in city driving, in extra-urban driving, on motorways, and also on winding roads. And I will now explain which control mechanisms are in place in order to maximize that drivability. Starting with the drive-off in city, for example. So as we are talking about an electric motor for the drive-off, we have the maximum torque available right from the start. So you have an instant response without any delay. You have the full torque available right from the start. And then also the electric motor is not so dependent on revolution like a combustion engine. Therefore, we can also maintain and keep a high level of G-force over time. In hybrid mode, the engine is normally decoupled from the wheels. This means we are accelerating the wheels, we are accelerating the car with the electric motor. And while we're doing this, we could, in theory, do whatever we want with the engine. And what we do is, while accelerating the car with the electric motor, we are simulating a rev up or revving up of the combustion engine. And on top, we even simulate a shift up. This means if you accelerate the ZRV with the electric motor, the engine is correlating to the increase in speed with the engine revolution. And this gives a very dynamic and also very natural feel, particularly to those who come maybe from a conventional powertrain. And this is also underlined by the power meter, which is also increasing the power output when speed is increasing. So you have a very good analogy to a conventional rev counter or a tachometer with the power meter. And then if the system detects that you are driving very actively some nice winding roads by sensing the steering input and also the lateral G-force, then it will activate the so-called winding control. And in the winding control, the engine speed is kept on a higher level. So if you, for example, approach a corner and you release the throttle, normally the engine speed would drop. But when detecting the winding control, the engine speed is kept on a higher level, just like shifting down in front of a corner. And then when re-accelerating out of a corner, the rev level is matching perfectly. So this is something you can also try out tomorrow. You don't have to switch anything. It will detect automatically. And then you can really enjoy winding road driving. And last but not least, as I said before, the so-called operation range of the combustion engine, so the fuel-efficient area, the stoichiometric range, has been increased. This means that also when driving at higher speeds on the motorway, the engine drive mode is now kept for a longer time, also assisted by a high amount of electric boost power by the increase in battery performance. And this provides a much more relaxed driving style on, for example, the motorway, where it avoids to switch back and forth between the engine drive mode and the hybrid drive mode. On top, there are also some other drive modes. So you have the normal, which is a very good balance between fuel efficiency and response. But on top, you have the sports mode, where everything is sharpened from parameter perspective. Then you have the econ, where everything is now optimized in terms of fuel efficiency. And as a fourth mode, the first time at Honda for an SUV, we have the snow mode, which enables a easy and smooth drive-off under slippery road conditions. From suspension and chassis perspective, we have actually implemented everything we could in order to realize a dynamic driving behavior, a multi-link rear suspension with the floating type subframe. We have amplitude-dependent rear bushes, which combine handling capability with good ride comfort. We have a very sophisticated steering system, a dual-pinion electric power steering with variable gear ratio. So this is also a very, let's say, dynamic and also direct steering system. I personally love the steering system of the new ZR-V. And also in the front, we have an aluminum subframe for higher stability. So all in all, really a suite of sophisticated dynamic performance technologies. Talking about the platform of the ZR-V consists basically of two characteristics, but it still belongs to the same platform family like the CR-V and the Civic. The front part is actually from the Civic, so with all the engine mount and also with the low center of gravity of the powertrain. And then the underfloor and the rear panel, or the rear part of the car is actually the CR-V platform with the layout for the fuel tank, the suspension layout, and also the position of the battery, the IPU. And in the middle, the bulkhead is more or less a ZR-V unique design. Body stiffness, for that reason, we have applied quite a lot of high tensile steel, even so-called hot stamp, up to 1500 megapascal class steel. Making a body rigid is one thing, but nowadays we actually see it more important to combine and find a good balance of the elasticity part of a body with the rigid parts in order to have, on one hand, a very good suspension efficiency, but on the other hand, to have a designated deformation in case of a collision, also in order to realize the so-called advanced compatibility engineering from Honda, where collision energy is led through the body structure very efficiently in order to protect not just the own occupants, but also the occupants of the collision opponent, if you want. Aerodynamic performance, a very smart management of airflow around the car, but also underneath the car. There are quite some defined separation lines for the airstream in order to minimize turbulences, but also in the front bumper there are air ducts so that we can create a so-called air curtain around the front wheels, again to minimize turbulence. Some other technologies, well, this is basically the display operation, so very easy. Left-hand side switches on the steering wheel operate the left-hand side display, which consists of infotainment information, and then the right-hand side control the vehicle information display on the right side, and in the middle, in the center, if activated, the Honda sensing information will be displayed. The ZR-V also has some deceleration pedals, so these are equivalent to shift pedals of a automated transmission. They are made out of metal, and the only other car at Honda which uses metal pedals is the NSX. So this again underlines a little bit the designation of the ZR-V towards dynamic performance. The levers, both the indicator and the wiper levers, are now cranked, so they actually are in horizontal layout behind the steering wheel for much better visibility. Charging capability from all the seats, so there are USB-A, USB-C sockets everywhere, front and rear, but also in the front we have the wireless charging possibility for your smartphone. For the advanced grade, we offer also the Bose Centerpoint premium audio system with 12 speakers, creating a surround effect with the Bose specific algorithm. A very nice system. Please try out tomorrow and connect your phone if you have the chance. Hands-free power tailgate, also very practical. So with a kick just at the center of the rear bumper, the rear tailgate will open, and with another kick it will close. It also has the pre-lock function with the walk-away close function. So if that is activated, as long as you have the fob key in your pocket, you can take the luggage, and once you walk away from the car, the rear tailgate will close, and it will also lock automatically. And on the right side, we have the 6-inch head-up display, providing driver information, but also warning interruptions when necessary. Last but not least, safety and Honda sensing. As I already explained, body rigidity, very important for crash safety, but also safety devices, airbags. We have 11 in total, including the front center airbag, and also pre-tensioners for the seat belts, both front and rear. And this is the latest and up-to-date suite of advanced driver assist systems of the Honda Sensing. Basically, this is equivalent also to the level of the latest Civic we have introduced already. Well, as a conclusion, I think we can say that not just from the packaging and also from the design, the ZR-V is now clearly pointing towards dynamics, but also with the sophisticated technology, the driving performance has been realized in order to really call the ZR-V a sports SUV. And on top of that, I believe this is also a very good alternative, especially for those people who want to move towards electrification, but at the moment do not have the possibility, whether it's affordability or whether it's the infrastructure. And for those people who want to go direction electrification but cannot go full electric at the moment, they have the possibility with a full hybrid EHEV to also go into that direction of electrification with a very sporty but yet very fuel efficient model.